Hi, this is Miss TechFi, and in this video we're going to go over the latest battery out for Motorola Triumph. On the internet you'll find a 2000 mAh battery for sale, and it seems to be branded by two different companies, Mihai, spelled H-E-H-Y, and Max Power. The battery I purchased was a Mihai, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I charged and drained the battery 4 times and calibrated it before recording the results. So this is my journey to enlightenment. The first test I did was to benchmark all the batteries that I have, a 1380, a 1500, a 1600, and a 2000 mAh. The app I used was Antutu Tester by Antutu. This app performs your choice of battery test, multi-touch test, and shows system information as well as does an LCD test. For this app, I'm only going to show you the screenshot results for the battery test portion. It lets the phone run several hours through consuming battery power and calculate your score, and this test for me took about 2.5 hours per battery. If you try this test on your own, you might get different results depending on what's running in the background. With a 1380 stock battery, it benched at 393, the 1500 Anchor battery benched at 404, 1600 battery benched at 414, and the 2000 battery benched at 422. None of the batteries seemed more significant over the other, each only able to run the test a few minutes longer than the other at 100% CPU use. So in real life usage, those few numbers could mean the difference of a few hours more battery during the day for calls and texts, which might be just what's needed, a little more battery till you get home to charge. While the test didn't show anything overly significant on the battery life, what I did notice that only the 1380 stock battery showed the correct battery temperature while the CPU went up to 100% and started to get very warm. The other batteries didn't show anything more than 1 Celsius change in temperature, even though by touch they all felt just as warm as the 1380 stock battery. This is important to be aware of. As the phone registers a certain temperature, it does what it needs to do to protect the phone. I tested this out by rerunning the bench test on the 1380 stock battery and placing it in a very warm area on top of my router, and watching the temperature climb up. When it got extremely hot, over 50 Celsius, the CPU slowed down and the battery test aired. When I did the same thing with the other batteries, the phone became just as hot as the 1380 battery on top of the router, but the test continued to run the CPU at 100% on the aftermarket batteries and became even hotter than the 1380 battery did when it aired. Correct temps are needed to protect the phone's hardware and overall life of the battery. Batteries also drain faster the hotter they get, so if you're going to use an aftermarket battery, you need to be mindful of this temperature thing. After running Antutu Tester, I wanted to know the most I could get from the 2000 mAh battery. With that, I did things to the phone that would optimize the battery usage and only use the phone when I absolutely needed to. To optimize the battery, I also downloaded an app called Wallpaper by Mihai Preda, that's M-I-H-A-I Preda. I did not put the phone in airplane mode, and I left the Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, and sync off unless I needed it. I was able to get 2 days, 2 hours, and 17 minutes before the battery finally showed yellow at 20%. This was good to know, the most I could squeeze out of my battery if I ever needed it in an emergency and I couldn't charge. I used the stock Triumph OS. Yes, you can get better battery life from some of the custom ROMs, but not everybody chooses to use that, so I felt the stock ROM was the best to test for everybody. In conclusion, the 2000 battery I find was a keeper. I'm happy with the little extra I get. This seems to be my white rabbit I was looking for, and will continue to use the 2000 battery while being mindful of the temperature during heavy usage and hot days and protect the overall life of my new battery.